Okay, so let's get started. And my name is Dr. Pollack, for those of you that don't know who I am. I've been practicing for roughly 25 years and potentially could be the first person who have ever did a lunch and learn. And the only reason that's even interesting is because I've been doing lunch and learns the entire time I was a doctor. I've created the whole lunch and learn process, and I've refined it every 4 to 6 months for the entire 25 years. So I'm kind of an expert on that. I've also built 5 multi-million-dollar practices, several of which were at $200,000 a month within the first 30 months from scratch. So obviously, I've been able to really build huge practices, but I've always done it in ways that nobody else has done it. I've always done it in an out-of-the-box approach, and a true out-of-the-box approach. And so here today, I want to talk about what are the most important 6 inches in your body. The most important 6 inches, I know that some of you may think it's something else, but it is, in fact, the distance between your ears. Because the distance between your ears will either help you to have everything you've ever wanted or keep you from having anything you've ever wanted. It's always your decision. It's not the outside influences. It's not the culture. It's not the environment. All those things impacted or affected to some degree. But I can tell you right now, those 6 inches between your ears, it's everything. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is the fact that you can do some patient education in a way you've never done it. Once you learn how to communicate properly and optimally with individuals, you will have unlimited amounts of new patients. You literally won't be able to stop the conversion process if you do it properly. But properly is something that is not just a communication issue, it's a separation of communication issues. It's understanding the difference between what most people consider communication, which is the outside aspect of communication, and the inside communication, which frankly is absolutely it's so much more important than the outside aspect that it propels the outside communication. You're going to understand what I'm talking about in a little while. But right now you're probably thinking, what the heck is he saying? So let's get started. So my feeling is knowledge is not power. That successful people think distinctly different than everybody else. I've been around enough successful people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and I know exactly how they think, and quite frankly, I think the same way. We have no, well, it's going to work, or maybe it won't work, or there's none of that going on in any of our heads. When we decide that something should work, we want something, we want to make sure that something occurs, it absolutely unequivocally will. It's just a matter of how. How long will it take? And how will we end up getting to our destination or goal? But there is no wavering, and there's no belief system inside me that I may not get what I want, or it may not be possible, or other people may have got, may in some way, shape, or form affect my ability to win. So what I want you to understand is that success is all within those 6 inches. Success is all about how you think. It's not only how you think when everything is going phenomenal, because anybody can be successful when everything's going phenomenal, but it's how you think when you're going through a storm. It's how you think when everything seems to be falling apart around you. It's how you think and who you think with. And I'm going to explain that as well. If you surround yourself by people that are constantly complaining, they're constantly telling you how bad things are, then those people will, in fact, to some degree, influence you if you allow them to do so. And what I think is this. It doesn't really matter. I don't allow anybody to change my mind. I allow people to influence me to the degree that it informs me. And perhaps that's a better way of putting it. I allow people to inform me, but not to influence me. And I am always thinking forwardly. I'm always thinking progressively. I'm always thinking outside the box. I'm not thinking about what everybody else is doing, because if I did what everybody else was doing, I'd get what everybody else is getting. And the majority of the people in our profession, I think you probably would all agree with me, are frustrated. They're challenged. They're having a hard time, financially, physically, emotionally, and in every way. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, belief systems, because if you don't believe something's possible, then in fact, it is absolutely unequivocally not possible. And if you really truly believe it is possible, then I can promise you, regardless of what it is, it will occur. So people think differently, they believe differently, they act differently. That's the difference between success and failure. That's the difference between successful people that come back from failure, and those are the people that always find a way to win. So let's talk about this. We have roughly 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And I can tell you right now that almost all of them are the same exact thoughts. And because of that, you're not going in any different direction from day to day, week to week, month to month, or year to year. You see, what happens is once you change the way you think, you'll change the way you act. And that's a really important subject here, because if you wake up in the morning and you think the same thoughts and take the same actions, you're going to get the same results. And then you're going to say, you see? And then you're going to think more thoughts. And you're going to take more similar actions, and you're going to get more similar results. And the fact of the matter is that most people absolutely go no place their entire life. They don't grow, they don't change, they don't think differently, they don't act differently. And so for the most part, we've been taught that people are who they are and they'll never change. But of course, change is possible if you think or believe it is. And why am I talking about these things if I'm talking to you about what today is all about, which is marketing? Because marketing is not just a product, it's not just a script, it's not just a PowerPoint. It's how you use it. It's the thoughts that are inside your head. And if you have poor thinking inside your head, then regardless of what you know, you will not be able to take that product and get what you want. So I've actually tested this out on numerous doctors. I've taken the same product that has gotten me huge success and tried it on several different types of doctors in several different types of scenarios, and found out that the product, no matter how great it is, the subject, no matter how perfect it is for that particular group, isn't going to do anything for that particular doctor or any of those people when the doctor himself or herself isn't thinking clearly and doesn't have exactly what they have to have on their mind. Most people are still thinking about other thoughts, other things when they're speaking to people. Most people go into a conversion, into a report of findings with a 50-50. I hope it goes well. I've never actually done that. I walk into a report of findings and I know it's going to go well. What I mean by that is I know I am going to absolutely do what I need to do to get that point across and to make it absolutely essential for that person to take action. And every single time they do. Now, sometimes it's not the action that I'd like, but everybody isn't going to take the right action, but I'm going to do the right job every single time. And what's really interesting is that now I've taken a 2-year sabbatical from my practice. Prior to that, though, we had just short of 3 years at 100% conversion rate, and I know that sounds ridiculous and questionable. And it almost feels uncomfortable to say, but if I didn't say it, I'd be lying to you. And most people know that I've brought in huge amounts of patients every single month. You don't build a $200,000 a month practice in 30 months unless you know how to bring in a lot of new patients and you know how to convert those new patients. So you have to know how to do it, but even more so, you have to know how to communicate with the individual, and potentially even more important, how to communicate with yourself. Otherwise, your day today is going to be just like yesterday, which will be just like tomorrow, just like next month, just like next year, and the same fear will be inside you. instead of having that fear live within you, do something progressive to get it out. So have you ever asked yourself, how do lobsters grow? Now, the reason I even bring this up is because it's a very, very interesting but simple philosophy here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to that slide, and I'm going to have this rabbi actually share this information with you. But although for some reason it's not embedded into this particular PowerPoint properly, and so what we're going to do is we're going to escape out of this for a moment. I'm going to pull up this YouTube video. We're going to play it for you, and I got to tell you something. You're really going to love it.
And
it's
how we have to look at stress.
You will love it.
Okay. And I think it's an important thing because many people have told me from my lectures it's the one thing they remember. Okay. I was sitting in a dentist's office and looked at an article that said, how do lobsters grow? Well, I don't care how lobsters grow. But I was interested in it. And it points out that a lobster is a soft, mushy animal that lives inside of a rigid shell. That rigid shell does not expand. Well, how can the lobster grow? Well, as the lobster grows, that shell becomes very confining. And the lobster feels itself under pressure and uncomfortable. It goes under a rock formation to protect itself from predatory fish, casts off the shell, and produces a new one. Well, eventually, that shell becomes very uncomfortable as it grows back under the rocks. And the lobster repeats this numerous times. The stimulus for the lobster to be able to grow is that it feels uncomfortable. Right? Now, if lobsters had doctors, they would never grow. Because as soon as the lobster feels uncomfortable, goes to the doctor, gets a Valium, gets a Percocet, feels fine. Never gets off its shell. So I think that we have to realize that times of stress are also times that are signals for growth. And if we use adversity properly, we can grow through adversity. I think that decision-making is a part of the...
So I got to tell you something. I watched that and I listened to that, and that to me really kind of I really took it to heart. And the reason I took it to heart is because, in all honesty, think about it. How many people would stop growing because of the pain? How many people would not release the shell and allow themselves to grow? How many people would leave themselves protected but not grow? Too many of us. So let's go back to this PowerPoint. And of course, we've seen all these beautiful slides. So how, in fact, are you going to be able to use adversity as opportunities to grow? Well, as far as I'm concerned, what I'd like to share with you is my personality, my personal perception is that when I start to feel uncomfortable, when I start to feel stressed, when I start to feel the pressure, I know that I'm going through a transition. And I almost get excited about it because it's exciting. I don't look at it as scary. I look at it as exciting. Every single day I grow. Every single day I learn something new. Every single day I try something new. Certainly you don't think, nobody on this webinar could possibly think that I somehow woke up with all the right answers one day and knew exactly how to get 85% of every single talk of those 85% of those individuals to accept my offer at every single talk I've ever done. Nobody's that smart. The only person that's that smart are the people that have actually made the mistakes, that took the risks, that got up on stages and actually did things that didn't work and realized what didn't work and made those changes. You see, being uncomfortable is a good thing. It tells you that you either need to make a change or that you're in the midst of making one. The only thing is that most people don't control this growth. They allow everything else to affect them. They don't even change until they absolutely must. And most people, unfortunately, die in hospitals because they didn't make decisions, proper decisions, upstream. Well, as a doctor, you can make a difference. You can help people to understand what they don't understand and to make changes now in their lives so that their lives will be much better off as a result of it. And you can do that in a talk, in a lunch and learn. Now, certainly, that's an incredible opportunity to get in front of a bunch of individuals that are seeking your knowledge, that you are absolutely giving your knowledge to, and also as they grow, you're also giving them the understanding that if they're willing to and want to grow, that they're going to have to take some actions. And one of those actions, of course, is to come to your office for your offer. Now, I know that a lot of you have had some frustrating talks or frustrating opportunities, but I can tell you right now that the only reason that's so frustrating is because you keep doing them the same way and expecting different results. As I said many times, my approach has always been outside the box. 20 years ago, it was a different world. 10 years ago, it was a different world. 5 years ago, it was a different world. Today, it's a different world. The same approach that worked 20 years ago would not work today. The same approach that worked 10 years ago would not work today. The same approach that worked 5 years ago would not work today. And it's getting to a point where the same approach that you had yesterday wouldn't work for tomorrow. So you have to learn that growth and change is a part of life. And if you start to embrace it and enjoy it, you'll be able to market like nobody's business. You'll be unstoppable. So let's talk more specifically now. Let's make this much, much more specific, and let's just really get to it now. So what I'd like to do is I'd like you to really think about what I consider the most important part of communication, which I referenced in the beginning, which is how you talk to yourself, what you say to yourself. Do you say it's, I'm hoping it'll win? You're hoping you'll get the result? You're hoping that some of these people will accept your offer? That you hope some of those people that accepted your offer will show up at your office? Or are you actually making sure that you know exactly what to do and you're doing it? There's a big difference between those people that succeed and fail. The people that fail constantly are frustrated. They work harder than any of us that succeed. Success is easy. It's actually quite simple. But most people would prefer to do what they know instead of learn something new that would give them the results that would make them feel completely different. I'm urging you to think outside the box. And I'm doing that for two reasons. Number one, I think you need to learn how to communicate effectively. I think whether you want to do a talk, whether you want to talk within your office, if you want to talk to corporate America, groups, churches, you want to talk to 7 to 10 people, 20 to 50 people, 100 to 500 people, or thousands of people, it's the exact same thing. The bigger speakers know that being on stage in front of 5,000 people is no different than being on stage in front of 100 people. As long as you know what you're doing, and as long as you're completely present. But I will tell you this, becoming a great speaker, a public speaker, is something that takes some time. It's not just something that it's not information that you're given, it's information that you're given, and it's something that takes some time to practice. So you have to practice. You have to practice your craft all the time. You have to go up on stages when you think you're not 100% certain. You have to be willing to take some opportunities to really craft your skills. And that means that you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to be kind of like the lobster. You're going to have to allow yourself to get uncomfortable to grow. And growth isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's a little bit scary. But the people at the top, they didn't get there any other way. I'm going to tell you that the other thing that I really consider absolutely vital is the way you think. In another perspective, are you happy? Are you full of joy? Are you grateful for what you have? Because those are palpable forces that either propel your success or create huge obstacles to it. Now, a lot of people have said to me, geez, you seem like the happiest guy on earth. Well, I am. Even during times when my life has been a mess, an absolute mess, I am still happy. I'm still grateful. Because by contrast, my life is nowhere near as rough or as terrible as so many others. I'm thankful to live in Newport Beach, California, and get a chance to look at the ocean on a regular basis. I'm able to walk down to the ocean. I've got great friends, great family. I've got an opportunity to speak to you guys today to help you to think differently. I've got so many things going for me, and a lot of people might say at times in my life when I was going through really tough times that they couldn't figure out how I could potentially be happy at a time like that. And what they weren't realizing is that I wasn't going to change how I felt because of what was going on. And so I'm going to get you to think a little differently. I'd like you to think differently. I'd like you to start to see the joy. I'd like you to start to be grateful for your husband or your wife or your children or your parents or your friends or where you live, or the fact that you have a house or a car or an office, or that you have patients. Just think about all the people that don't have what you have. So instead of complaining about what you don't have, appreciate what you do have. And when you appreciate what you do have, you'll have so much more. And I know that that seems like a hairy-fairy kind of thing, but I got to tell you something. It's not. It really isn't. And when I'm up at stages, when I'm up at the homecoming in January, you're going to hear me speak very specifically, because when I'm up on stage, I like to give content. I like to make sure that if somebody never saw me again, they would say, holy cow, I got a truckload of stuff from that guy. It was unbelievable, and they enjoyed the heck out of it. Because unless you're having fun, you won't learn. And if you are having fun and the content's phenomenal, it's ingrained so deep inside you that you won't have to review it or think about it. It's inside you. So we're going to have a lot of fun at the homecoming, and I'm going to teach you some things that are done in talks that shouldn't be done. I'm going to teach you some things that have never been done outside my group that should be done every single time you ever do a talk. I'm going to teach you how to never have low attendance again when you do a talk. I'm going to teach you how to have the attendees motivated by you, not the food. And I'm going to teach you how to be able to not only quadruple your audience size, but to take home 85% of them and have them almost all show up at your office for your offer. Now, those are pretty good, startling statistical results. But I'm also going to tell you that as hard as I've ever worked, I was always willing to take a shortcut if it made sense. I always used technology to help me to be able to do what I needed to do. Whether it was a Surface EMG when I was doing stress tests for myovision or CLA, or whether it was a Leander table to actually open up the disk spaces to be able to move those individuals easier, more effectively, and make them get better results. Or whether it was breathing exercises that would help to give them energy and give them oxygen that would also help them heal better, faster, and more efficiently. I've always used everything I possibly could use to both build my practice, convert those patients, and take care of those patients like they could never be taken care of anywhere else on the planet. I always felt like they couldn't do any better than coming to my office, and each one of you should feel the same way about your office. And if you don't feel that way, then figure out why you don't feel that way and do whatever you have to do to feel that way. Learn whatever you have to learn, practice whatever you have to practice. If your adjusting skills are not good, learn them. Practice them. If your knowledge base isn't good, you still find yourself uncomfortable about talking about different subjects, read on it, learn on it, schedule it every single day. I read a book a day for over 3 decades until literally my eyes got so bad that I have 3 sets of glasses because my eyes are so bad. So I'm not telling you to read a book a day, but I will tell you this. when you read a book a day, there's almost nothing you can't learn. And if you learn something, best to be learned in many, many different directions. Meaning if you're going to learn something, get 10 books on the subject, because if you get one book on the subject, all you have is the opinion of one individual. When you're going to be coached, make sure that you take advantage of everything that you possibly can so you can see what's out there. Now, you're with one of the biggest, best, most unbelievable coaches, Dr. Brimhall. I don't think you could do better in functional medicine. I think it would be virtually impossible to find a better coach. To this day, I think it would be impossible to find a better coach in a particular area. But how many of you have taken full advantage of it? How many of you have educated yourself on a regular, week-by-week basis? And let me ask you a question. While most of you are educating yourself on the science, how many of you are educating yourself on marketing? Because without individuals to work on, practice is a lot more painful. And when you have lots of individuals to work on, you can refine your skills because you see things over and over and over and over, repetitiously. And before you know it, you start to realize what's going on. You know what the individual needs. But the quantity of people that you work on will help you to become a much, much better doctor. Now, certainly, there's a secondary motivation to that. It will also make you a lot wealthier doctor financially. And when you're wealthier financially, you can do more things for your family, for your community, for yourself. So don't ever excuse success. Success financially is important. It gives you the ability to take more courses, to buy more products, to explore more things, to help more people. It's just a part of life. You're in business. You're in business, but your business, you don't ever make a dollar unless you help someone. And the more you help someone, the more you make. And so I'm saying that every single doctor ought to spend as much time on marketing as they do on the science of what they specialize in, so that you can have enough individuals to work on and practice on to become truly the best at what you do. I've considered myself for 23 years the best at what I did. And at points when I thought somebody did something better, I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel challenged. I embraced it. I'd call that individual up and say, do you mind if I come to your office? Could you show me how to do that move? Could you show me how to do that, or this, or something else, whatever it was? And to this day, I still do that. We're either learning and growing, or we're dying. And most people stop learning the day they graduate school. Now, functional medicine doctors, of course, you guys a little bit different. You couldn't possibly do what you do unless you did educate yourself on a regular basis. But are you spending 99% of your time educating yourself on the science and no time on marketing? Do you find yourself with a lot of knowledge you'd like to share but nobody to share it with? Do you find yourself struggling in practice to pay the bills? It's because you have a lopsided wheel. You're spending all of the time on one thing and leaving the other thing, which is just as important, completely alone. I'm going to show you how to look at that. I'm going to show you how to market in several different really effective ways. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to what I consider the most amazing technology on the planet. And the reason why I love this technology so much is that it literally does something for you that you don't want to do for yourself, but desperately need. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, I have another video for you. I'd like you to listen to this video, and after the video, I'm going to take you through the last part of this presentation. The last part of the presentation, well, of course, I saved the best for the last. So let's get, I'm going to pull out of this PowerPoint right now. I'm going to pull this video up. We're going to watch that video, and then we'll get right to it.
See, whatever you're doing, however you spend your time, that tells you who you are. So think about what it is you like to create in your life experience. Once I look at how you commit your time, once I do an evaluation on how you spend your time, I can tell you exactly what you're committed to. How much time do you spend working on you? How much time do you spend every day working on your dream? In the last 90 days, how many books have you read? In the last year, what new skill or knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in you?
A lot of people, as soon as they punch out, they rush home to sit on the couch. They rush home to do nothing. They rush home just to sit there and figure out, okay, I'm going to go to sleep, do it all tomorrow.
You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing. If you have a 4.0, what you need to be doing is studying.
This is a life class. That means that we have an opportunity to learn how to maximize our lives. Think of the things that you're doing that somebody else could be doing. And think of yourself as a precious commodity that you are going to reserve your energy for your highest and best use.
All the successful people have the exact same amount of time that you have each day. So what did they do that you may not be doing? They invested in themselves. On the weekends, after work, in the evening, they put time in something that they wanted to do. They invested their own time in themselves.
We are busier than any other generation we have seen in the last 300 to 400 years. We are just as busy as we can be, and we think because we're busy, we're effective. But I want you to challenge your schedule for a minute and ask yourself, are you really being effective, or is your life cluttered with all kinds of stuff that demands you and drains you and taxes you and stops you from being your highest and best self? And are you substituting busyness and all the chaos that goes along with busyness from being effective? It takes time to be creative. You were meant to be creative. You were created in the likeness and the image of a creator, and in that likeness and in that image, you have creativity. If you had time, you would be creative. The most important thing is to value our time.
So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? What are you going to do today?
You want to make it in life, you got to know your vitamin. You've got to.
So how many of you guys, girls, how many of you think you're too busy to do what you have to do? I'm sure a lot of you would say that. You're too busy to do this. You're too busy to do that. But nobody's going in any direction. Nobody's going any place because they're busy doing the things that they've done yesterday and the day before and the day before that. They're not going in a progressive direction. They're just busy. Brendan Burchard, one of the greatest motivators and one that I've ever listened to, he actually talks about the fact that the most important thing he can teach anybody is elimination. Eliminating those things that you don't have to do. Stop doing the things that you don't have to do and start doing the things that would get you a result. When I do boot camps, I literally start the boot camp by writing on a big pad, and I write goals and results. And that's the beginning and the end of what I write on there. I don't write anything else but that. Because as far as I'm concerned, whether you're doing marketing, whether you're doing a new patient, whether you're adjusting or examining or delivering any type of care to a patient, whether you're doing a conversion, everything is about results. But the problem is that most people are focused on the process, not the results. Results are new patients. Results are conversions. Results are taking people that didn't know that help was available and showing them that help is not only available, but you're the one to deliver it. Our life is either about results or it's about nothing. And so I'm going to make sure that I deliver the information you need to be able to do things differently. We're going to do another webinar 3 weeks from now, and in that webinar, I'm going to give you a lot of content. It's going to be a much, much different type of webinar than this has been. This is more of a general idea, a concept of thinking differently. Steve Jobs did it, and every successful person on the planet has thought differently, because if they did what everybody else did, they wouldn't have any more than what everybody else has. Now, what I'd like to talk about right now is the fact that you can speed up the results. Because I talk to so many doctors that say, well, I know how important communication is, but I really don't like to speak in front of groups. And when you know that speaking in front of groups is the #1 way to get new patients, you know there's going to be a challenge. But everybody should have the ability to have as many new patients as they want. And I'm going to tell you that there is technology out there that you may think is unassociated with what you do, but you have to think of it as a marketing modality. Now, here's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about how can technology give us what we can't get and give it to us better and faster than the things that would take so much more effort from us. I'm talking about effortless growth. I'm talking about technology that will help invite 80 to 120 new patients a month and effortlessly. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I have a product called the Contour Elite. I apologize. It's a 3-prong modality. It has ultrasonic cavitation. Basically what happens is it permanently destroys fat cells, and it does it painlessly and effortlessly by sending a sound wave that literally cracks that fat cell like an egg, leaving the inside of that egg or the fat to leak into the system, be processed by the liver, and urinated out of your body. You could literally lay down or sit down, have this done, and 30 to 45 minutes later have an inch less of your body in a place that you'd like an inch less of it. How many people do you think would be interested if you said, is there an inch on your body that you would like me to remove for you? And I could do it in 30 to 45 minutes. How many people on this planet would be interested in having that done? Would you say everyone except for the crazy people? Of course. And so that's the whole idea. I do a lot of consulting for technology companies. I came across this technology company, and it was very, very interesting to me. But what was more interesting than the unbelievable results that it got was the unbelievable amount of people that were attracted to it. And these people are people that wanted to feel better about themselves. They wanted to look better so that they would feel better. And they would come to my partner's office literally in droves and buy up packages one after the other. And when they were done, buy another package because now they wanted other areas of their body to look a certain way. But how hard do you think it was for my partner to say to these people, well, you're obviously here because you want to look good, and I get that. And we all want to look a little better because it'll make us feel a little bit better, and then it'll make us feel more confident. When we feel more confident, we'll act differently, right? Confident people act differently than people that are not confident. And certainly when you feel you look good, you act good. But how great would it be not to just look good, but to actually physically feel vibrant, to feel as good as you look? Because if that's the case, converting one of these people to do an examination to find out what it would take to feel good is almost so simple, it's ridiculous. So here's a modality that invites 80 to 120 people into our office on a regular basis. And not only does it offer them, pull them into the offices effortlessly just because of some advertising that we place for the doctors, but on top of it, when they come into the office, we're able to convert 70% of them to other aspects of our practice. This machine also handles something else that no other piece of equipment like it handles. It also does skin tightening, and it also reduces the fat cells, the size of the fat cells in your face and those deposits under your chin. In fact, this is the one piece of equipment that does everything from contouring the body to tightening the skin to reducing the deposits. It's unbelievable. I mean, it was on Dr. Oz, it was on Fox News, it was on almost every news show, and every single one of them said it was a miracle. And you've all heard probably of Cool Sculpting. Cool Sculpting does the same thing, only that ultrasonics does. It actually removes that inch. However, it's painful. It leaves your body numb for about 2 weeks and takes 4 to 6 weeks to see the results. This is painless, instantaneous, and gets even better results, and is a fraction of the price of Cool Sculpting because you don't have to buy an expensive piece of equipment. It's an unbelievable thing. So really, what this piece of equipment does is it drives an amazing amount of traffic into your business. It immediately gives you a revenue stream, a passive revenue stream, unassociated with your practice, and it puts those people in a position where 70% of them would wish to have it to be examined and potentially become new patients, which means that you can cross-sell your existing customers and the new customers. Because how many patients do you have that you think would be interested in something like this? Probably almost all of them. And when they got those crazy results, you can't get your patients to tell anybody about you now. But can you imagine if you put this piece of equipment in your office and your patients that don't refer any other patients do this? And as soon as they do it, they go crazy and tell everybody how they lost that inch. And all of a sudden, they refer 10 or 12 people to your office when they never referred one before. See, that's what I'm talking about. You know, to me, I was looking at the statistical numbers here, and I'm saying to myself, this is a marketing modality. The heck with the sculpting and the fact that it's taking these inches off. I didn't even care about that part of it. I only cared about the fact that, wow, this is something I can offer to my doctors to help them to drive immediate, amazing traffic into their business with people that are already interested in feeling better and spending money to be better. It seemed like a no-brainer to me. It still does. And we're going to talk about this piece of equipment at Homecoming. And we're not only going to talk about it, but we're going to have demos of it. So some of those people that come to the seminar are actually going to physically leave with parts of them gone. And usually the parts that they didn't want in the first place. Now, that doesn't mean that you guys should overeat just because we're going to be there to strip it off you. No, it means it means don't overeat, but let us help you to understand how to remove that, how to get people excited to want to do it, and how to put this in your business so it's like a big, giant magnet in the middle of your office that attracts everybody into it and gets your existing clientele to want to refer truckloads of people to you when in fact they may never have done so before. A really unbelievable piece of equipment. So we're getting to the end, and what I'd like to do is this. I'd like to make an offer to each and every one of you. And I'm going to tell you right now that what you should do is you should reach out to us. We have a certain amount of individuals every single week which we allow to do strategy sessions. Now, a strategy session is a mind-blowing experience, I will tell you that, because there's two aspects of it. One is that we'll actually have you take an assessment, and you'll take this 10-minute assessment online, and you'll probably think it's a fairly easy thing to do. It won't be much. You won't think much of it. And then we're going to set you up for a 1-hour strategy session, which is a one-on-one session with me. Now, literally, there are people that have paid almost upwards of $1,000 at times for this. We've literally, at times, charged that kind of money for this. When you come through a group, we generally charge about $197 because we just want you to be able to do it. But because Dr. Brimhall's asked me to please make this available to you prior to the homecoming, we are going to give everybody the opportunity to email Katie at wsaexperts.com to be able to actually do this free of charge for the next 10 days. So when you see this particular webinar, you need to register right away. We're also limiting the amount of people that can do it, and so unfortunately, not every single individual that will wish to register will be able to go through the strategy session because there's only a certain amount per week. Obviously, I have another job. Now, these strategy sessions, those assessments for speaker evaluation will blow your mind. No matter how great you think you are, no matter how challenged you think you are, no matter where you are or what your level of expertise is in your own mind, I can promise you that this will blow your mind. It will be so mind-blowing that you would really want to shoot yourself if you weren't recording the entire 1-hour session. So if you are one of those people that are lucky enough to have this, that I'm telling you to talk to me on a speakerphone and record the entire session, you'll never be able to write all the things you'll learn, and you'll absolutely be bummed out if you don't record it. The second part of this session is an intuitive technology discussion. It's us talking about your practice and how technology could help to grow your practice dramatically, and how the technology itself actually pays for itself from the first and second month on. So we have actually come up with not just technology that works, but because I know that most people will do the wrong things or won't do all the right things, we made it impossible to fail. So when we sell our technology for the entire year, we place every single ad because we know exactly how to reach all those people, how to attract different groups of people, and how to get 80 to 120 new patients into an office. And we don't want anybody to have to figure it out, or to figure out whether or not they want to do it, or to figure out how to do it. We are going to do it for the first 12 months. So that basically it's a no-fail situation. The only way you could fail is if you put it in the closet and don't allow anybody to use it. Other than that, it's going to make money, and it's going to draw patients like a magnet. But we'll talk about that in the strategy session as well. Look, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to teach you how to blow your practice up. I'm here to show you how I build multi-million-dollar practices in the shortest amount of time, effortlessly, while having a tractor-trailer load of fun. And if that's interesting to you, then by all means, I would register immediately. And if for some reason you're unable to register, get yourself on a waiting list with Katie, my assistant, so that should anybody cancel, you could get that speaker assessment and the intuitive technology discussion. I can promise you, you will be bummed out when you hear what happened with those people that were lucky enough and smart enough to register for it. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. I'm Dr. Pollack, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you at the homecoming, at Dr. Brimhall's homecoming in January. Have yourself a magnificent day, and get in touch with Katie and let me help you further. Bye now. Okay, so let's get started. I'm Dr. Pollack, and today I'm going to talk about marketing, my favorite subject on the planet, and almost every doctor's least favorite subject on the planet. But let me tell you something. It's so important to understand our craft. But if we don't have patients to work on, we can never become really, really phenomenal at anything that we do. And so it's really important to be able to market and market effectively, not just market, just like everything else. It's not just about doing something, it's about doing it right, doing it so that you get results. I teach these boot camps on speaking and communication, and I immediately walk up to the front of the room, and the first thing I write on that big pad with that big marker is goals and results. And that's all I write on that board, by the way. I'm sure everybody else expects me to write something else over the 12-hour period that we do this boot camp, but the only thing I write is goals and results. Because if you want to become the best doctor on the planet, you have to be able to not only learn what you need to learn, but do it, practice it, refine it, see it, figure things out. And you can't do that without marketing. So if you're spending all of your time learning information and none of your time marketing, not only are you going to be financially stressed out of your mind, but you're also not ever going to be able to be the doctor that you could be. Today we're going to talk about the most important 6 inches. We're going to talk about how important those 6 inches between your ears really is, how much it means, how it really affects you. We're going to talk we're going to talk about phenomenal patient education. And the reason I use the word phenomenal before it is because most people think of patient education as something that's so boring and something they don't want to do, and then they do a couple of patient education classes in their office, and because they're not really into it, they don't really get results, meaning they don't get people to attend. And because they don't get people to attend, they don't get people to bring guests. And then when people don't bring guests, they're like, well, why am I doing this? It's a waste of my time, and they don't do it. You see, if you do it right, if you get yourself excited about it, then what happens is you will have no problem getting people to come. You will have no problem to get those people to bring guests. Those guests will become potential patients, and it goes on and on and on. Patient communication is absolutely essential. The other thing is unlimited new patients. You know why? Because if you're constantly talking about what you need to talk about, if you're excited about what you're talking about, people will be attracted to you. People will want whatever it is that you have. You've got to get out there. You've got to talk about the things that you do. And you can't just talk about the things you do. You have to be excited about the things that you do. And if you're not excited about the things you do, then I recommend highly that you figure out why you're not excited or what it would take to be excited and get yourself excited. Because people are attracted to people that are happy, excited, and ready to go. In reference to conversions, a lot of doctors do these report of findings with hopes and expectations that potentially the person might want to convert and become a patient. Well, that just sounds about as boring as it sounded. Basically, the idea is that when I go in, I took a 2-year sabbatical. I just took a 2-year sabbatical so that I could create some programs that I was going to use to educate doctors all over the universe, so that basically the one problem that's really plaguing our profession would be able to disappear effortlessly. And I'm going to talk about 2 different methodologies that I believe will really help you to get rid of your new patient problem. And by new patient problem, I mean not that they're a problem. They're not even around to be a problem. You don't have enough of them. If you want to be able to do an unstoppable conversion, do what I did. Get yourself so excited to want to share this stuff with them. Get yourself so excited to save another individual that would have gone without your help and would have been much worse off as a result. Go into those reported findings not thinking, I hope it goes, for your own selfish reasons. No, go in there 100% of the time knowing that this has got to happen for them. And as a result of them winning, you will win. What I was saying to you before I kind of got off track was that I'm taking a 2-year sabbatical, but before I took this 2-year sabbatical, just to give you an idea how great things really were for me, most people that know me know I'm a magnet to patients. In fact, a lot of people call me Magnet Man. For that exact reason, I tracked unlimited numbers of new patients all the time. So I had a lot of new patients in my office. But I also had something that nobody's ever done. Just short of a week before 3 years, I had a 100% reported findings conversion rate. I don't know anybody else on the planet that could tell me they did anything remotely close to that. And I'm not saying it to impress you. I'm saying it to impress upon you that you got to understand that the reason that happened is not because I'm spectacular. It's because I really, truly believe that these people needed my help and that I needed to figure out exactly how to communicate that to them in a way that they themselves would say, wow, I'm doing this. If they didn't have the money, they wouldn't even make that a problem. They'd figure out how to get it. They would just say yes. And we're going to talk about that. Now, what I want you to do, too, is to understand that there's some really important things in place here. So knowledge is not necessarily power. A lot of people think, well, the more I know, the better off I'm going to be. Well, kind of. It's important that you have knowledge. But knowledge alone will not do anything. It's your brain. It's how you think. It's what you believe. And it's how you act. You see, what happens is most people, you know, what's really interesting, and we're going to talk about this in a moment, but what's really interesting is the difference between successful people and failures are the way they think. Successful people, even when they fail, it's just something that gets them even more mad, more excited, more motivated to want to succeed. But to other people, it's like, well, I can't do that. I knew it wouldn't work. It never happens for me. It's the culture. It's the people. It's this. It's that. It's the way you think is what it is. It's what you believe inside you. If you don't believe that you're the best, but you're working on it, that's great. If you don't believe you're the best, but you're not working on it, and you'll never be the best, then, geez, refer these people to somebody that believes that they are the best. So what I want you to do is to figure out when you don't think clearly, find out why. Talk to somebody like me and find out how to think in a way that will actually get you results. If you're not believing you're the best, then at least believe you're becoming the best. And if that's not the case, again, you need to speak to somebody like myself who can show you how to go from where you are presently, no matter where that is, to where you need to be. And always act on your beliefs and your thoughts. Because otherwise knowledge means nothing without thinking, believing, and acting, putting it into action. And marketing is really nothing more than that. It's really just you understanding that people that don't know that they have a problem, that there is a solution to, should come to you so they could be evaluated, treated, be better off as a result of it, and not only will they be better off, but everybody that interacts with them will be better off because they're better off. And I know that sounds kind of interesting, but if you think for a moment about what I said, you'll know exactly what I said and exactly what I meant. So your personality and your personal reality basically are built up of what I talked about. But the real important part here is the fact that we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. If you are thinking the same way when you wake up, then you are doing the same things when you wake up. And when you're doing the same things and thinking the same things, you take the same actions, you get the same results, and you end up no better off today than you were yesterday. In fact, you end up worse because you're either going in one direction or the other. Nobody stays the same. This world is constantly in flux. And so what I'm saying is this: wake up tomorrow morning and think of possibilities. Think of opportunities. Think of actions that you haven't taken that you know you should take, and take just one of them. And then Appreciate yourself for taking that one action. Appreciate the fact that you did something different and you're going in a different direction, the one you wanted to go in, but have not gone in because you've sat there and haven't done anything about it. And then you'll change your life, and in a big, big, compelling way. So here's an oddball question for you. Have you ever asked yourself, how do lobsters grow? Now that is kind of an oddball question, but I think you're going to enjoy the answer. So let me pull from this PowerPoint for a moment, and I'm going to have this rabbi spend a minute with you and explain to you how lobsters grow, and I think you'll understand why.
The stress and how we have to look at stress. Okay? And I think it's an important thing because many people have told me.
Okay, I want you to see this video.
There's something I want to tell you about the stress and how we have to look at stress. Okay? And I think it's an important thing because many people have told me from my lectures it's the one thing they remember. Okay? I was sitting in a dentist's office and looked at an article that said, how do lobsters grow? Well, I don't care how lobsters grow. But I was interested in it. And it points out that a lobster is a soft, mushy animal that lives inside of a rigid shell. That rigid shell does not expand. Well, how can the lobster grow? Well, as the lobster grows, that shell becomes very confining. And the lobster feels itself under pressure and uncomfortable. It goes under a rock formation to protect itself from predatory fish, casts off the shell, and produces a new one. Well, eventually, that shell becomes very uncomfortable as it grows, right? Back under the rocks. And the lobster repeats this numerous times. The stimulus for the lobster to be able to grow is that it feels uncomfortable. Right? Now, if lobsters had doctors, they would never grow. Because as soon as the lobster feels uncomfortable, goes to the doctor, gets a Valium, gets a Percocet, feels fine. Never gets off its shell. So I think that we have to realize that times of stress are also times that are signals for growth. And if we use adversity properly, we can grow through adversity. There's something I'll tell you about.
Unbelievable. So see, that's the whole thing. So many people, when they're under stress, they would prefer to stay within that shell. Stay within that shell as opposed to taking the risk and doing something different to grow. And that's why I wanted to play that for you, because I want you to know that what I'm about to do is to teach you how to grow. But you have to want to grow. You have to be willing to risk things. You have to be willing to actually, instead of stress holding you back from growing, that you would leave that shell that's confining you, that you would do something different than everybody else that you know, and you would do something that I would do to build a $200,000 practice in 30 months. Now, you don't have to want a $2.4 million practice. Whatever you want, you can have, and I seriously mean that. But you have to do something different. You have to take adversity and stress and all this pressure, and instead of having it confine you, you have to be willing to release it and do something different. Make an opportunity of it. And so that's what I want to discuss with you right now. What I'd like you to do is to go deep inside yourself and understand that the most important communication is the communication you have with yourself. You have to believe something's possible. You have to believe that you can succeed. You have to believe that although you may not be the best, you're working on becoming the best. And although you've never been a marketer, or you've never marketed before, or you've never marketed successfully before, or you've been stressed out. See, most people don't like to market because they don't think they're good at it. And they haven't had any success in it. And they haven't seen a lot of people have success in it. But man, come to one of my boot camps and it'll blow your mind. Do a strategy session with me and it'll blow your mind. So let's talk about some of those things that just so you understand. Let's talk about communication in a marketing modality that we call lunch and learns. Let's talk about that. Now, for 20 some odd years, I've been doing them for 23 years. I believe I potentially could be the first person to ever create those lunch and learns. So let's assume people have been doing them for 23 years, and that old guy that started it 23 years ago, that was me. But it doesn't matter who started it. The bottom line is this. Lunch and learns are the single best way for you to come in contact with a bunch of individuals you've never known. Show them something they need to know, invite them back to your place, and get them to not only follow you back, but follow you in droves. Now, most people don't get really great results. They have low attendance, low attendee motivation, low statistics at the end of those people that attract them, but it's because they're doing them wrong. I do something that nobody else does, and I want to share it with you. Write this down. It's not on a slide because I'm not going to spoon feed it to you. Write this down. On-site inspection. Here's the deal. I'm going to give you a secret, and if you use it, the second you use it, you will automatically get the results. How's that? The ideal concept is this. How many doctors get an event, show up at the event, and do a talk? That's ludicrous. HR directors and office managers are not marketing people. That's not what they do. That's not what they know. That's not what they want to do. Because they're so darn busy doing what they're supposed to do, the last thing they're going to do is promote you properly. So you have to go down and meet with that individual. You got to get them excited about this specific talk, and you as a communicator, and let them know that this is going to be so great that they need to help the people that wouldn't get there to get there, so that you could help those people that desperately needed the help, as opposed to just those few people that would show up for a free lunch. You want to see the room that you're lecturing in. How many speakers have ever just walked up to a stage without even examining the stage before? Very few successful speakers, because they want to feel comfortable in that surrounding. And so on that on-site inspection, you're not only going to get that person excited about the presentation, you're going to want to see the room you're going to be lecturing in. Here's another thing we do. I break all of my PowerPoints into two parts because we already know everybody is stressed, fatigued, exhausted, and overwhelmed. Just by that alone, we know that we don't want to further overwhelm people. We want to get them excited. We want to give them a few things that work phenomenal. And so I tell the HR directors, listen, there's two parts to this. They're meant to be done a month apart. One does not necessitate the other, but I will tell you this. Once they do one, they're going to want the other, and scheduling the other would be impossible because I'm booked out for 3 months in a row at any one time. And so if you want to be able to do both parts a month apart, we should schedule the second one now. And I leave that on-site inspection not only having them excited, but I have a second presentation, which means it takes the pressure off the first presentation. Why doesn't anybody do this? And then on top of it, I got them so excited about the presentation, about the fact that these two presentations together were going to change the culture within their company. And then I tell them that those people that desperately need to come won't come unless they help make that happen. That I'll provide the flyers, but they should email each and every employee within the company to let them know that this particular talk is going to be special. Here's what we're talking about. Here's how it's going to work. And if you miss this, you're going to be so upset with yourself when you hear how great it was. You see, if you're on the other end of this, you're already thinking, if you're an HR director, you would have hired me. You would have scheduled the two talks. You want to help those other people be there for yourself, not for me. Because the people that complain every single day to the HR directors, those are the people that are miserable. And the people that are miserable are the people that need this kind of help. And if you can get that point across to them, they're like, oh my God, yeah. Oh, well, if you can help them, I'd be glad to have you help them. They'll help promote like nobody's business. I used this on-site inspection for Experian most recently. What was interesting about that particular talk is the company I purchased it from gave me that talk, gave another doctor in Northern California that talk. They told us the same thing, we'll get 15 people if we're lucky, and I said, nonsense. I went down, I called him, I went down, I met with the HR director, I did my on-site inspection. 3 weeks later, I spoke to 120 people, 91 of which became patients. At my average $5,500 per patient, I made $500,000 in a day. Let me tell you what happened to the other doctor that didn't do an on-site inspection. They had 8 of the 15 show. Of the 8 that showed, 0 converted, which meant it cost him almost $450 between the event and the food, besides the fact that he took an hour of his life off. He got nothing. It cost him money, and I had $500,000 in my bank account to share with my friends, my family, my community, my office, my patients, and myself to grow further. On-site inspection. I'm going to go into the particulars of that. If you do a strategy session, I'm going to go into the particulars of that when we're on stage at the homecoming in January. You do not want to miss me, because I'll tell you right now, if you miss me on stage, you are going to cry. Bring yourself a box of tissues. You may need several boxes. Here's something else. And it's not on here, so please write this down. How many doctors have told me, but you know, I make the same offer at the end of the talk, and then one person doesn't, you know, they're just unhappy with me, and then they go back and they tell everybody else, and everybody no-shows. So I had like 20 new patients scheduled, but 0 came in after the first one. Yeah, it's called negative water cooler talk. What it means is that a company is like a company or organization or a group. They're like a family. If you offend anybody, they're going to tell everybody, and then they're going to say, no way. So instead, you have to have what we call, or what I call, what I, again, created, which is called a pre-qualification. Meaning your offer has got to be an offer that every single human being on the planet would want, and when they come in for that offer, your service that you're offering has to be what's called a pre-qualification procedure. Basically what that is it distinguishes the people that came in interested in more care to the people that came in just for that service. That's important, because if you're going through this pre-qualification procedure, you can distinguish between the people that are really interested and the people that you need to excuse. If you excuse the people that need to be excused, that when they go to the water cooler the next day, they're going to go, wow, that doctor was really cool. He was great. He taught me a lot of really important things. And what was really cool is he didn't push me into something even though he felt I needed it. Well, everybody's going to come in because they feel safe. You didn't push somebody who shouldn't be pushed. Here's the other end. You could see during this 10-minute procedure that they are interested, that their health is a priority. And now you can make an offer and absolutely know the answer that you're going to get, which is absolutely yes. I want to do that. So let's talk a little bit about this pre-qualification procedure. I'm probably teasing the hell out of you, and I don't apologize for it. The pre-qualification procedure is what gives doctors back their sanity and their time. Well, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is how many doctors offer a full, conclusive examination for $20 at the end of a talk? That means you just offered up an examination, maybe a set of x-rays, maybe a test, maybe a report of findings, certainly 90 minutes of your life and probably some money and staff time and office time and your time, 90 minutes of your time. And you will know, as I know, after the first 2 minutes of talking to this person, or 3 minutes, certainly within 5 minutes, whether or not they were interested or not. But if you made an offer to give them an exam and report of findings and everything else, you know you're about to waste 90 minutes of your life. How many 90 minutes of your life can you waste in 1 week? That's why doctors don't have time to do what they're supposed to do, because they're wasting their time doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. My pre-qualification procedure, in 10 minutes, I can promise you that it will blow their mind. They'll walk away in 10 minutes with more information than they ever expected or anticipated, feeling completely respected, and if it's right, the right ones will be offered an examination which they will pay for, and the ones that aren't ready for care will be excused with the concept that I don't get that your health is a priority to you right now, and I don't want to push you into doing something that you desperately need to do. I got to tell you, on-site inspection, pre-qualification procedure, if you just learned these two things from me in the strategy session or at a boot camp, it would blow your mind, change your life, because it would give you back so much more time for yourself, for your family, for your hobbies, for anything. And it would stop causing negative water cooler talk, because everybody in every company would want to see you, because they would believe and feel that they could trust you and respect you. So understand that what I do is dramatically different than what everybody else on the planet does. But I also get crazy results, don't I? Do you know a lot of doctors that have 2.4 million practices? Do you have $2.4 million practices? Do you know some that have a few of them? Do you know some that have a few of them that work probably less than most doctors that don't even make 100 grand a year? Exactly. Do something different. Follow somebody like myself. Follow somebody like myself to do something outside the box that'll get you results, and start looking at your results as something relevant, as the bullseye that you shoot that arrow at, instead of just shooting it generally in the air and saying, I know how to shoot an arrow, bow and arrow. Next one is joy, happiness, and gratitude. I'll tell you right now, if you are not joyful, if you are not happy, or you are not grateful every moment of your life, or at least a good percentage of it, you need to figure out why. And this is not a small thing, this is a big thing. Because when you're happy and grateful and full of joy, and you're happy, people are attracted to you. They want to be around you. And when you're like everyone else, they don't. Because nobody needs more negativity. Joy, happiness, and gratitude will make you feel so good about yourself and so good about what you're doing that it will propel your success in a way that is unexplainable. But if you don't have it, it will stand in your way like a brick wall. And those brick walls will stop you dead in your tracks. So I'm telling you that if you're not a grateful person, if you're not a person that's grateful for all the great stuff that you have in your life, then change your life and think differently. Now, I had another video for you. I'm not going to share it with you if you don't mind, because you know something? I want to make this clear. This is just about marketing. I'm a marketing guru, you could say. You could call me whatever you want to call me. I love marketing like nobody's business. So here we're talking about two types of marketing. I'm going to give you the important foundational one, which is, of course, communicating and public speaking, because it'll help you in the office, out of the office, with marketing, with conversion, with examination, with staff, with family, with friends, in your whole life. If you do not know how to communicate properly or optimally, you absolutely need to sign up for my strategy session, which is a 10-minute test and an hour-long strategy session afterwards that will blow your mind and teach you stuff that you didn't even know, or that you could know, or that would change your life. We'll talk more about that later. But there is something else that you can do, and I want to share this with you. I have used technology all along for various purposes. But the one thing I have to say is, although I'm a good communicator, and I'm a great public speaker, and I love to do lunch and learns, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Yes, I'm saying it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. Is it important? Heck yeah, it is. But in marketing, if we can do something faster and more efficiently, we really should be exploring those possibilities. Most doctors do not like to get up in front of audiences, yet they know they need to do something to market themselves And I'm going to tell you about something right now that if you're not a big communicator, if you're not a big speaker, if you don't want to learn the other stuff that I just talked about, that this will actually give you the results in an effortless fashion. What I'm talking about is this. I have another company that I'm associated with, the TriStar Aesthetics, and we have something called the Contour Elite. It's a machine that is absolutely ridiculously reasonable priced, and it removes an inch on any part of your body that you'd like to remove, and it does it painlessly and instantly and permanently. Yep, I said it. What the heck? Yes, it does. It's like a miracle. And it does it in a way that does not leave any symptoms or any side effects. What the heck kind of miracle am I talking about? I'm talking about ultrasound cavitation. You see, a lot of you have probably heard about cool sculpting. And cool sculpting is also a way to remove an inch from your body in a place that you'd like to move it. But the problem is that it's painful, it takes an hour, it leaves your body numb for 2 weeks, and then it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for you to see the results. Ultrasound cavitation is about a fifth of the price. It's painless instead of painful, and instead of waiting 4 to 6 weeks for results, it's instantaneous. When the patient puts their clothes back on, that inch is gone. And what it does that cool sculpting and those other modalities do not do is it actually does radio frequency skin tightening. So you not only will lose the weight, but you can tighten the skin over the area and literally take a picture of the person 1 hour later, and they don't look like the body part of the person 1 hour earlier. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's miraculous. But what's even better about it is that what I saw when a lot of times technology companies come to me and ask for my advice. How do I bring it, to the public? How do I compete with cool sculpting? And I'm thinking to myself, looking at the numbers, you don't compete with it. You're better than it. And if you don't advertise like it, you don't have to charge the ridiculous price for the modality or equipment, so it makes it cost effective to every single type of practitioner there is. But here's why I even wanted to bring this to you today. What we found was, across the 3 offices that my partner owned, that this equipment, when we put in the proper ads, would bring about 80 to 120 new prospective clients every single month. Yep, 80 to 120. What kind of marketing could you do to get the same results? Please tell me, because I don't think there's anything you can do to get those kind of results. Now imagine this. Because I knew the equipment did what it said it would do, and because I knew that the advertising worked the way I said it would work, I didn't want anybody to mess it up. I wanted everybody that purchased a piece of equipment to actually advertise the way they were supposed to advertise, so they would get the ridiculous amount of traffic in their office that they could get, so that they could then convert those people not only to the technology, but then also could say very simply to anybody who came in, yes, I know that you came in here to look better. And when you look better, you'll feel better. Certainly that's the case. And it's only going to take an hour to remove at least an inch from a place that you really don't want to have it. But let me ask you a question. How good is looking good if you don't feel good? If you're tired, fatigued, exhausted, or overwhelmed, still, how does that help you? So how great would it be to actually feel as good as you look? How would you like to feel as vibrant, as healthy as you actually now look? You see, if that's interesting to you, then what I'd recommend is that you do an examination here in the office. And that's how you do it, docs. You take 80 to 120 people that are running to your office to see this magnet of equipment that's attracting them, because they want to look better, and convert 70% of them to whatever it is that you do in practice. And that's not even enough, because think about this. How many patients do you have in your office that don't refer a single solitary person? I can tell you right now, if you said, by the way, we've got this new equipment here, it removes an inch at a time, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes, an hour at the most, and you can sculpt your body in a matter of sessions to what you want to look like. Would you be interested in trying it out? Do you think everybody be interested? Yes, everybody be interested. If you don't think everybody be interested, then you are clinically insane. But what's even better is those people that never referred, once you do something like this to them, they talk to everybody they know. And everybody they know says, where did you get that? And because they got it from you, they come to you. And when they come to you again, you could take these referrals for the equipment and these people that came from your present patient base and then convert them to present patients, and it goes on and on and on. So you see, yes, I think everybody should learn how to become a great communicator. I think whether you do outside talks or you don't do outside talks, communication skills are vital to your every aspect of your life, including but not limited to converting these individuals that come in. You want to convert 70%, 30%, 40%, 100%? You know, what do you want to convert? So communication is important in every single aspect. But if you want to be smart, then what you want to do is you want to have multiple prongs. You want to start to work on getting up in front of audiences. You want to start to take your present skill level to a whole nother level. And I actually literally help doctors assess their present level in a strategy session. Again, all it is a 10-minute exercise where the doctor would actually take a test online that seems inane and simple, and then we do a 1-hour strategy session to discuss the results of that 10-minute test. And I've never seen it ever not blow the minds of every individual I've done it with. It teaches them communication in a way they've never seen it before. But what's really nice is now, when I do this strategy session for individuals, I also give you the benefit of talking about the technology so that you can see how speaking in public will help you, and also how technology could effortlessly help you, and using both in conjunction with one another makes you completely and utterly unstoppable. Now, just to be fair with you, to be honest with you, I only do a certain amount of strategy sessions each week because, of course, I run 8 other companies, and I'm a very, very busy man, but I always make a certain amount of time to do these strategy sessions, and I made that commitment to Dr. Brimhall, who I respect more than anyone else, and I promised him that I would do as many speaker assessments as I could, as many strategy sessions as I could, to help you to understand what you do know, what you don't know, what you need to improve, how you can improve, and also how this technology works, because I'm going to have this technology at the homecoming. And when you come to the homecoming and see this technology, it's going to blow your mind. In fact, some of you are going to get a chance, believe it or not, are going to get a chance to actually physically use this technology. And some of you will leave this seminar smaller and tinier than you were when you first came to the seminar, which would be a nice little fix, because most people end up eating a little bit too much and they leave a little bigger. This seminar, you're going to leave a little smaller, some of you. But listen, what I'd recommend is that you familiarize yourself with the technology before the seminar. And that's what the strategy session is for. I'd also recommend that you assess, you allow us to professionally assess your present speaking abilities so that we can offer suggestions that would make a tremendous, dramatic difference immediately after that session. And I will tell you that to register, you're going to have to email my assistant, Katie, at wsaexperts.com. Understand that we can only do a certain amount per week, and if we can't get you on the immediate list to schedule you, understand and appreciate we will put you on a waiting list. If anybody cancels, I'll certainly make sure that she makes the effort to get you in. I know everybody that will ever do this strategy session will have their mind blown, and those people that haven't will be upset that they haven't. So I understand that already, and I will make every effort to get everybody that would like to go through the strategy session to have it. Ordinarily, I charge anywhere between $195 and $995 for this, depending upon the group. You guys are lucky. For 10 days, you have the ability to do this for free if you contact Katie right now. After 10 days, we will still do these strategy sessions, but those strategy sessions will be $197. Still, dramatically better and less than anybody pays for this strategy session, but I got to tell you something. If you're waiting more than 10 days, what else do you procrastinate with? Maybe your whole professional career, maybe your whole life, you've procrastinated. And maybe you're not exactly where you'd hope to be because you've procrastinated. Stop procrastinating. Take something that makes sense. Take action. Stop waking up tomorrow with the same thoughts you thought yesterday. Tomorrow, think differently, act differently, get differently, and let's do it together. It's been my pleasure to share with you this session. My name is Dr. Mark Pollack. I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing for now almost 25 years. And I got to tell you, marketing is my business. It's my sport. It's my love. And I hope to share it with you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.